If I could go back and do retirement all over again, same career, same rank, same pension, I would do some things very differently. Not because I failed, not because retirement was a mistake, but because there are things you only see clearly once you're on the other side. And today I'm going to walk you through exactly what I would change so you do not have to learn the hard way. This is the adjutant. Let's get into it. The first thing I'd do differently is this. I'd stop treating retirement like the end of the road, because mentally, that's what gets a lot of people in trouble, folks. We're conditioned to believe 20 years, then I'm done. Once I retire, everything slows down. Well, I'll figure it out after that. That's what most people do. If I were retiring again, I would remind myself retirement is not an ending. It is a transition into ownership. Ownership of time, ownership of income streams, ownership of identity. And the people who struggle most after retirement are usually the ones who didn't mentally prepare for that shift. So here's a big one. They say I'd separate income from identity much earlier. Huge. If I were retiring again, I'd work much harder, much earlier to separate who I am from how I'm paid. From decades, your rank, your role, your authority, they came baked in. After retirement, none of that transfers, certainly not automatically. Your pension is predictable, your identity is not. And if you don't intentionally build a post-retirement identity professionally, socially, mentally, you can feel unanchored even while financially stable. That's not a money problem. That's a transition problem, folks. I'd also reframe my pension as base, not the plan. Now, this one is critical. If I were retiring again, I'd stop thinking about my pension as the plan. Folks, it should be the foundation. Your pension buys you stability, flexibility, time to make some good decisions. What it does not guarantee, however, is lifestyle upgrades, inflation-proof comfort, legacy wealth. When people struggle later, it's rarely because the pension failed. It's because they expected to do things it was never designed to do. Then I'd get ruthless about fixed costs before retiring. Now, this is one I'd absolutely redo. Before retiring again, I would aggressively reduce fixed expenses before my last day in uniform. Because once your paycheck changes, even if your income is stable, your margin for error shrinks. Lower fixed costs equals less pressure to rush into bad jobs, more freedom to just say no, more room to experiment. Financial peace after retirement is less about how much you earn and more about how little you have to earn. I would also plan my first 2 years, not my first job. Most people plan their first post-retirement job. If I were retiring again, I'd plan my first 2 years out, because your first job is rarely the final answer. The first year is about decompression. The second year is about alignment. If you expect clarity on day one, you're setting yourself up for frustration. I'd give myself permission to pivot, to experiment, to learn, to adjust. That's not failure, folks. That's just strategy. Then I'd respect how long the transition really takes. Now, this one actually kind of surprises people. If I were retiring again, I'd remind myself that transition isn't a 6-month process. For many people, it's 18 to 36 months. Some could be shorter. Most are going to be longer, but generally around that area. Your nervous system changes, your pace changes, your priority changes. If you don't respect that timeline, you can feel like something is wrong with you, when in reality, folks, nothing is. You're just recalibrating after decades of structure. Then I'd stop comparing my chapter 2 to someone else's highlight reel. Some people, retire and go in working for a Fortune 500 company or sailing the world, traveling the world. Now, this is the last one, but this one matters. If I were retiring again, I'd stop comparing myself to everyone else. Some people thrive immediately. Some people pivot 1, 2, 3 times or more. Some people build quietly and then win later. There is no universal timeline for post-military success. The only real mistake is forcing yourself into a version of success that doesn't fit your life. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Retirement doesn't reward speed, it rewards clarity. The goal isn't to rush into the next thing, it is to build something that actually fits the life that you earned. Information only matters if you understand it, and understanding gives you options. Whether we're talking about retirement, money, or life after service, the goal here is always the same. More options, fewer regrets, and decisions you don't have to undo later. This is the Adjutant, and I wish you blessings and blessings. I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.